What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. Let's address the elephant in the room. I'm doing this video at 2 a.m., but let's address the elephant in the room. Fat Joe, all right? So Fat Joe went on Mav Hoffa's podcast, My Expert Opinion, and he attacked foundational Black Americans. So let me just give y'all a brief backstory to the beef between Fat Joe and foundational Black Americans. Where does the beef start? So I want to say maybe 2 years ago, Fat Joe was going around saying that hip hop was created by Black people and Latino people 50-50, right? Which is incorrect, okay? But he was going around saying hip hop was created by Black folks and Latinos 50-50. And then you had people like Tariq Nasheed, like Lord Jamar, and other foundational Black American people providing pushback against that. Okay, now I don't agree with everything Lord Jamar says at all, but I agree with him on what he was talking about as it pertains to the origins of hip hop and where those origins lie. Okay, so in the, Fat Joe was saying his piece, foundational Black Americans, like myself, was saying my piece or whatever, because I've spoken on this channel before. Okay, so then so Fat Joe goes on Mav Hoffa's podcast, and I guess the conversation takes a turn and starts talking about the origins of hip hop and all of that, and or some sort. I don't know if it went to the origins of hip hop. He started talking about some rumors or whatever, and he says those rumors were made by radical Black racists, right? He said it's a group of these guys. They don't want to hear Jamaican. They don't want to hear Guyanese. They don't want to hear a Black guy that ain't down with them. So their job is to criticize anybody that don't look like them or not Black American, or somebody who's not Black American. Mav Hoffa then asks, who are these guys? Who are these guys you talking about? Fat Joe says, first, you want me to say their name? They'll get clout if I say their name. He said, go ahead and say their name. Fat Joe says the FBA, the Foundational Black Authority, whatever the... First of all, he know what FBA stands for. He was just trying to be smart by saying the Foundational Black Authority, whatever. He said, whoever the fuck these broke N-words are, their thing is to attack everybody on Twitter. They're trying to change the narrative. They're not from New York, and they talking about basically they don't know, basically saying because people are not from New York, they don't know what they're talking about. Lord Jamar is from New York, but you know what I mean, like Tariq Nasheed is not, and all of that, right? And so first of all, let me break down what a foundational Black American is. A foundational Black American is a Black person whose ancestry can be traced directly back to the enslaved population of the United States of America, right? Meaning that a foundational Black American's lineage did not involve immigration from another country. Their lineage comes from descendants of slaves who built this country. So I would be recognized as a foundational Black American. My lineage does not involve immigration from another country for real. Like my people from the South. You know what I mean? I'm in Chicago. I'm born and raised Chicago, Illinois. Mom, paternal family from Mississippi. My maternal family from Alabama. And then it goes on and all that. My people were enslaved here, on American soil, right? So anyway, Fat Joe been providing pushback and all of that. And first of all, he said that foundational Black Americans were radical Black racists. And he's saying that because foundational Black American people are saying, no, hip hop was not created 50-50 by Black and Latinos. That is not a thing, man. Let's be for real. And that's true. But Fat Joe wants people to say it was created 50-50. And I'm going to tell y'all where all of this starts. And I don't mean no disrespect when I say this. Black people, hip hop was created in New York City. Places like New York and like California, where Black people live amongst non-Black people, live amongst Hispanics, live amongst Asians, like in California, from my understanding, they live amongst, some of them live amongst Cambodians and, you know, all different type of Asian ethnicities and Polynesians, etc. In New York, a lot of them, I've heard people from, I've never been to New York before, but I've heard people say, you know, people from the 80s and 90s say, we grew up with the Puerto Ricans, we grew up with Hispanics and Latinos and all of that. What happens is black people are so inclusive. We are so inclusive as a people. We just start embracing everybody else and say, y'all want us, y'all with us, y'all want us, y'all with us. And then what happens, because black people are inclusive by nature, we have been like that for years, for decades, for decades, we have been very inclusive. What happens is those people who are now included, and when people, we, tell people, come on to the cookout, y'all want us, y'all want us. What happens is they say, oh, they inviting of us? Okay, well, this hip hop shit, this our shit too then. This our stuff too then. Since y'all say we one of y'all, this is ours too. So they start to stake claim in it. Stake claim in origins that do not lie with them, right? So when black folks say this, black folks are, foundational black American people are not being racist. They are not trying to denigrate people who are not black American. What they're just trying to say is, yo, hip hop was created by black American folks. It was created from black American influence only. And that is okay to say. Like, we don't gotta act like it wasn't, or act like it's something that, was 50-50 Hispanic. We don't have to be inclusive on everything, that we created. Because guess what? Black folks can never say, we would never be allowed to say we created merengue or salsa. Like, we would never be allowed to say that. Hispanic people, Latinos would never let us stay claiming that, because we didn't create that music, right? But on the other hand, black Americans created hip hop culture. There were no Caribbean or Puerto Rican influences on the 5 pillars of hip hop, the 5 elements of hip hop. And as y'all know, the 5 elements of hip hop is knowledge, historical knowledge of the movement. You got graffiti, you got DJing, you got breakdancing, you got MCing, which is lyricism, right? And so there were no Puerto Rican or Caribbean influences on any of that. Puerto Ricans, Caribbeans, Latinos didn't create one element of hip hop, okay? Now also, Joe calling people racist. Let's address the parents and grandparents of the first Puerto Rican participants of hip hop. Their parents and grandparents were racist as fuck. Did not even want to be around black people, had a disdain for black folks, didn't want to hear that music around them at all. They didn't want to hear no hip hop music around them at all. So let's talk about the racists. Let's talk about the grandparents of these individuals that, grandparents of individuals like Joe and stuff, right? So this is for real, man. The truth of the matter is, the origins of hip hop lie with black American people. Yes, a few people may have been Caribbean here and there, but they were all influenced by black American culture and people, okay? Black American culture and black Americans laid the foundation for hip hop. Not Caribbean culture, not Latino culture, not Puerto Rican culture, that's Latino culture, whatever. Not their music, nothing, okay? Those few Caribbeans who were involved, in hip hop, they were acting like black American people. They were emulating black American culture, hands down. They were not emulating Jamaican culture or Puerto Rican culture. They were not bringing Jamaican culture or Puerto Rican influences in hip hop at all. The roots and the foundation of hip hop come from black American music, black American people, 100%. In fact, Puerto Ricans, they didn't come onto the hip hop scene. As y'all can see, my son woke up because I'm talking so loud because I'm so passionate about this topic, right? I heard them little feet running. I'm like, hold on, wait a second, y'all. But anyway, in fact, Puerto Ricans came on the hip hop scene in the late 70s, okay? By the time they came around, hip hop was already in motion. And by then, the foundation was already laid, right? So like I was saying, the origins of hip hop does not lie with Puerto Ricans or Jamaicans or Caribbean culture. Yes, Jamaicans and Puerto Ricans participated in hip hop, and they eventually helped to spread hip hop. They did. I'm not trying to take that away from them. Yes, they eventually came around and participated. They participated and they helped to spread it. But hip hop originated with Black American influence only. Hip hop originated with Black American influence only. And I wrote a lot of notes down just so I can keep myself going on pace, right? And in fact, Grandmaster Caz, y'all know Grandmaster Caz, DJ, rapper, songwriter, right? He was on Vlad TV like 10 years ago, and he was discussing all of this. He speaks about the lack of Puerto Rican, the lack of Puerto Ricans around hip hop during the early days. He talks about the lack of Puerto Ricans around hip hop during the early days. He talked about his partner, DJ Disco Wiz, right? DJ Disco Wiz was half Puerto Rican, half Cuban, right? And he talks about DJ Disco Wiz beating up other Puerto Rican people in the street who was asking him why he was hanging around with those N-words, those morenos, however you say that word. Why they hanging around with them N-words and morenos? How y'all say that word? I don't know, right? And he was talking about, like they were not even welcoming of black folks for real, right? So my thing is, you got Latinos and Puerto Ricans saying that they created hip hop. That's crazy, seeing how in the 70s, most of them didn't associate with black folks at all, right? They did not, and people didn't want them associating with black people, So it's not racist for black folks to say, hey, hip hop is an art form we created. Black American people to say hip hop is an art form we created based upon our influences from our older music, from our grandparents and parents and all that. Hip hop was created off Black American culture. The few Caribbeans who were around, they were all emulating black culture, all getting black American culture. They were emulating Black American culture, getting their influences from Black American music, from Black American people, 100%. And that's okay to say and okay to acknowledge. That does not mean you're a villain if you acknowledge that. Fat Joe want to change the narrative up. You know what I mean? And try to act like, it was not. It was created by black folks and Latinos 50-50. No, it was not. The origins of hip hop lie with Black American people. Black American people created that from Black American influences and Black American culture. Let's be for real, man. By the time Latinos came around, man, the hip hop foundation was already laid and set in stone. They picked it up and they wanted to help spread it. Yes, they participated in it, but they didn't create it. They didn't stick the flag in the dirt. Black American people did, and that's okay to say, y'all.